Hey everybody, I'm Sean from Godaddy, and today we're going to be talking about SEO. And this is going to be something we've got a small series for people that are just getting started with SEO. And before I go too much further, confession, I hate the term SEO. I despise it. I think it's one of those things that we say in order to sound important when we're in mixed groups of people so that people think, wow, you must be really serious about your business if you're doing SEO. But basically, what it stands for is search engine optimization. And basically, what that stands for is you want people to find you on the internet. That's the basic crux of it. So on the internet, you're advertising your business, your idea, you're a musician, you're an artist, you're a nonprofit, you have a soccer website that's online. When somebody goes to find you, you want them to find you. So when somebody searches, they pull you up. Now, first things first, when we get into this, yes, we're going to be talking an awful lot about Google. Google's the big search engine on the market today. That's the predominant place that people go to find things on the internet. But everything that we talk about will apply to other search engines as well. Part of the reason I bring up Google is because sometimes I like to talk about them being kind of creepy and giant robot in the sky type of thing. But in general, benevolent, lovely place that we go to find everything that we want. Do no evil, Google. Now, search engine optimization, maybe even another way to think about it is you're trying to create a space where sort of all roads lead to you for a specific topic or something something particular to the place that you live even. So we're going to be talking about ways that you identify who you are and then ways that you can bring people to that area. You get people talking about you. There's two different types of SEO that we'll be talking about throughout this course. One of them is on-page SEO, which is basically you are who we say that you are, meaning you use terms, you use keywords and phrases on your website that make sense to everybody else. The second part will be basically becoming popular so that the giant robot in the sky, ooh, creepy Google, I am the giant robot in the sky, looking down on the world, the giant robot in the sky can basically see that people are talking about you. It can see that you're popular. And this is something that's really important to remember about Google, about Bing, about the other search engines, is that it's made up of robots or computers. There's not a person somewhere taking a look and seeing which website is better and then deciding where they want the stuff to rank. So it's something important to remember when putting together your website. Now, the second thing to remember about this is that Google is a business. Search engines are a business. The number one question that they're trying to get answered by what you put online is basically, are you legitimate? Are you a legitimate business? Are you a legitimate website? So are you in it for the long haul? Are you creating value? Are you basically presenting to the world something that the world would find worthy of looking at? Another way to think about it is they're trying to prove to the world also that they are legitimate. So is Google, is Bing, is Ask.com, is Baidu, is Yelp, YouTube, are they legitimate? Are these places that we trust and go to because they give us good results? One way I like to think about it is here in the town that I live in, we have a best of magazine. So every year there's a magazine that gets printed. It goes out into the grocery stores. You can find it out in front of the coffee shops. And it basically outlines all of the best of things in my town. So it could be the best tacos in town or the best hot dogs in town and best pancakes in town. Of course, I'm just going to talk about food, but there are other things in there as well. The best theater to go to, the best plumber, the best lawyer, the best doctor. And it outlines all these different things that are the best of the area. Now, the reason why this is very similar to search engine or to Google or makes sense with search engine optimization in general is they're basically in the same business. So think about it. If I get the best of magazine, I open it up and it says, hey, Sean, go here for the best carnitas tacos in town. And I go there and they're no good. Then am I going to trust that magazine anymore? Like the next time that magazine comes out with a best of issue, will I keep keep listening to them? Will I keep reading? Will I trust that the best doctor in town is actually legitimate, or is it just somebody that paid them the most amount of money, or is it somebody that they just happen to be really good friends with and they know their sister or their cousin or somebody and got into the magazine? And I will not trust it anymore. So right now I trust it because I test it and find that it's good. Google's the same way. So if I go searching for blueberry pancakes, Google's in the business of trying to serve up the best website for the largest group of people, oftentimes based on location or demographic or language or whatever. It's trying to serve up the best website possible for them, where I can find the best information about blueberry pancakes or the best blueberry pancakes in town where I could go. And so the robot in the sky is constantly looking for the best of certain things. This is where language becomes important on what you put on your website, so it can actually find out, hey, are you the best of hot dogs in town? Are you the best of fashion blogging in this particular space or this particular area? In order to do that, I need to use those words on my website, and that's how I would become popular. So if I have a restaurant, a local restaurant, and it is the best of, at least according to me, the best place to find waffles in town, then when I put together my website, I want to make sure that I talk about waffles, I talk about the different types of waffles, I talk about breakfast, I talk about the things that people expect of me, and I do something to get other people talking about me on the internet, either through social media, other websites, through media, and through news. What this will do, basically, is show the giant robot in the sky that I am legitimate, that I'm doing amazing things. And so other people will talk, other people will point, and they'll be able to see there must be something going on in this particular place that's doing something great. So, in general, what do we start with today? SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. Now, it's basically also a phrase for getting found online. When somebody takes out their phone and they're looking for a service, when somebody takes out their phone and they're looking for a particular website with information that might be valuable to them, they're able to find you. That's what SEO is. Now, search engines are a business. That's the third thing to remember. They are in the business of serving up the best content. If we're in the business of trying to trick the search engines and not really having great stuff on our website, not really being a subject matter expert, eventually the robots will get smarter and they'll catch up with us. So remember, they are also a business. So what you're trying to do is play by their rules, for sure, but also show them that your website is valuable to them. Because when people visit it, they'll keep coming back to that search engine to find those results. Search engines want to show the best results, just like a best of magazine. And honestly, for you to figure out SEO, you've got to get something written up, basically to show them that you're the best result. That could be hyper-local, that could be based on your content, that could be based on your video content, it could be based on something that's just going completely viral, which is very, very difficult to do, but a possibility. But you want to show them that you are the best place to come for that information. All right, well, that's what we got for an overview of SEO. We've got a series of other videos that go into a little bit more detail about on-page SEO and becoming popular and measuring your results, and actually just figuring out what the keywords are for your website. Thank you so much for watching. What's next for you? We're glad that you asked. So next we have a competitive worksheet that we want you to fill out, which basically is just going online and taking a look at how other people are ranking based on your business or based off of your website and what you want to do. You'll meet with your mentor and you'll fill out a survey to let us know how this is doing from Kiva. Thank you so much for watching and stay tuned for the next one. Hey everybody, I'm Sean from Godaddy. This is Figuring Out Your Keywords, part of an SEO series where we're going over the basics of search engine optimization, or how to get found online. So today we're going to be talking about keywords, and again, just as a quick recap from the previous session that we did, we want you to think about Google, Bing, these other places. Don't forget that they're basically a robot in the sky. They're a computer. And so keywords become important because they identify who you are to the masses out there. One way to think about keywords is it's a phrase. Sometimes we think it's just one word or one thing that we're known for. It could be hamburgers or pizza or legal advice. I guess that's two words. Maybe it's hyphenated. No, it's not hyphenated. You get my point. And so a keyword is the phrase someone might type into a search engine to find your business on the internet. For most small businesses, it's usually 3 or more targeted, very relevant words that describe what you do For example, it could be best pizza New York, pizza delivery New York, Chelsea New York pizza, vegan pizza New York. Obviously, I can't come up with any other examples except for food. And I do love New York way, way too much. So keywords in general end up being a phrase. Usually it's 3 words or 4 words. And one way I think about it is, what was the last thing that you searched for in Google? That's a keyword. So if you're hanging out with all of your friends, it's getting really late, and you think, hey, I really want some kebabs. What are you going to look for? Kebabs, or kebabs open late, or kebabs near me now. All keywords or keyword phrases that people use in order to find you online. Another way to think about this, and something that helps describe this for other people, is that you are who we say that you are. Basically, don't get too creative. You could open up a pizza restaurant, again, with the food, open up a pizza restaurant in a small town like Buckeye, Arizona, and you might be tempted to be creative and say you're opening up a European pie place. Well, nobody will understand what that is, or they may actually think that it's pie. So they're going to show up and wonder where their apple strudel or apple pie is, or rhubarb, whatever. So don't get too creative. You are a pizza place. You are who we say that you are. Maybe New York style pizza, maybe Chicago style pizza. Those can be some of the details you come up with. Just don't take it too far. With this in mind, I'll tell you a little story. This one's about my father. Now, my father is known in some circles as the quilting fireman of southeastern Idaho. And to be totally honest, I don't want you to think of him as this sort of sexy San Diego fireman. He's more like just a real dude. Think of him as a Chicago fireman. I think he just barely shaved his mustache. And he's retired now, but in the process of retiring, decided he wanted to do something else. Now, growing up, my father was into manly things. He was making furniture out in the garage, and then one day he decided that he wanted to try his hand at quilt making because he's a wimp and it was too cold in the garage to keep making furniture. So my father came inside, learned how to make quilts, and eventually became very successful at it. If you search for quilting fireman on YouTube, you will find him, mostly because we were making fun of him and we're bad children. Well, my dad and I got to talking about what he should use for his keywords on his website. And we went through an exercise I think helped a lot. What we did basically was section off the different phrases or parts of the phrase into 3 parts. There's the prefix, sort of the main thing that we're looking for, and then the suffix. So an example of that might be buy, or order, or purchase as the prefix. The middle part would be what he does. So custom quilts, patchwork quilts, handmade quilts, hand-sewn quilts, something that fits in the middle. And then at the very end, it would be a suffix. So online or by a dude. So I might end up with the keyword phrase, purchase hand-sewn quilts by a dude. That would give me the full phrase altogether. Now, when I take those and I compound all of them together, it's going to give me a lot of different options for what my keyword phrases might be. I could have custom quilts, patchwork quilts, order custom quilts online, order patchwork quilts online, order handmade quilts online, buy patchwork quilts by a dude. So I have a lot of different phrases that I can take a look at and see which ones work the best for me. Now, anybody can go through this exercise. It's not hard to do, and it will give you an idea of what might work for you. What you're trying to do really is expose the same thing we talked about at the beginning. If somebody were searching for you, if somebody were searching for your business or your music or your book or whatever it is that you're putting out into the world, what terms and what phrases would they type in to find you? You're just exploring what those phrases might potentially be. And that's where it comes in handy to use a tribe or family members or friends and ask them the same thing. This will give you a list of many different words that you can use. Now that's awesome. That's really great. Thank you so much, Sean. You gave me this wonderful list of many different words that I could use on my website or with my business to identify who I am online. How do I find out if anyone ever searches for those words? Well, you're in luck, because there's a very, very simple way, and a little bit more complex way to find out whether or not people use those phrases. The first way is to simply go to Google, pull out your list of phrases, or go to Bing or go to DuckDuckGo, wherever you want to go, whichever search engine you prefer, and whichever search engine you think your customers or potential customers are using, and type in that phrase and take a look at the results. So type in the phrase, see what the results are that come back. See the amount of results, see the number of results, see whether or not there are results on there that people paid for. And you can see those on the top of your search engines. You can see that people paid for those keywords in that particular situation. Now, as you go through that, it's going to give you a better idea not only of whether or not people actually type in those phrases in order to find your services or the things that you do online. It'll also give you a really good look at the competition. So taking a look at the competition also gives you a good idea of what the other key phrases are or the words that they might be using on their website. Very simple way, doesn't require fancy tools. Now, on the flip side of that, Google also has services where you can go and see how many people search for those phrases. One way is to actually set up what's called a Google Ad account, where you would spend money on those particular keywords in order to rank above other people. Now, you can actually use those services just to find out what the value is for those keyword phrases, and if the value is almost nothing, then there's a good chance that nobody is searching for them. For example, my dad and I thought we were very clever by putting together a buy patchwork quilts made by a dude. Well, how many people actually search for the phrase buy patchwork quilts made by a dude? Zero. Nada. Nobody. We thought it was hilarious, but that's not going to be the keywords that we're going to use on our website because nobody ever searches for them. So once you have that list, you can narrow it down to a couple of phrases based off your research by typing those phrases into Google and by doing some research perhaps by looking at the AdWords and the way that stuff gets set up. In this particular case, we're going to end up with just a couple: custom quilts and hand-sewn quilts. That's what we're going to use. And now we're going to have to get busy actually coming up with the copy for our website and what we want to put together for it. So to recap a little bit on this front on what keywords are, this is going to take us into actually crafting the content for on-page SEO or search engine optimization. Keywords are often phrases. Don't forget, you are who we say that you are. It's totally great to get clever with your product or your service, but don't get too clever when actually putting the copy or the words down on your website. You're going to build your phrase a piece at a time with a prefix, the main phrase, and a suffix, because many people will type in all of those when searching for you. You're going to check the results for those keywords using Google and see what comes up. Also gives you an opportunity to see how other people structure their websites, how other people use keywords. That gives you an opportunity to adjust or, simply throw it out the window if you want and try to stand apart from the rest of them. And when in doubt, ask a friend, ask a family member, ask somebody else, and they will help you out. They will let you know what they would type in order to find your business. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. What's next for you? We're glad you asked. So you're going to do a defining keywords worksheet, very similar to what we talked about today, and coming up with the prefix and the main phrase and the suffix. We've also got a tool at Godaddy called Get Found that will do the same thing. You type in what your business is about, and it will recommend keywords or key phrases that you need to put onto your website. It'll ask you location, it'll ask you what types of services you offer, and let you know basically what people type in when they're searching for stuff like you. And you're going to meet with your mentor, discuss keywords, discuss the keywords that you need to have on your website, and please, please, please fill out the Kiva survey. We want to know what you think about this content and the overall content dealing with search engine optimization. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Hey everybody, I'm Sean from Godaddy, and today we're going to be talking about producing content. This is part of a larger series where we're discussing SEO, or search engine optimization, or the best way to say it, actually just getting found on the internet. We've already talked about the generals of SEO, and we've talked about keywords. Now it's time to actually get those keywords onto your website. We're going to be talking about one of my favorite things, writing, actually producing content. So the first thing to remember, and I'm going to go over this, I guarantee I'm going to repeat it again and again and again, There's no such thing as writer's block. It just takes work. And so please do not be overwhelmed by the idea of producing content for your website. Here where we work, that is the number one stopper for people actually getting their websites live. Is they fret and they worry and they want it to be perfect, or they think I'm not a writer, I can't put the content out there. But you are. It just takes time. And one of the most beautiful things about getting content online or producing content on the internet is that if you screw it up or you want to change it, you can, and you can change it quickly. It's not the same as actually printing onto a business card and misspelling your name and making 5,000 copies and going to a conference where you constantly apologize and mark it out as you go through. A website is something that you can change while standing in line at the bank. So if you mess it up or you have another idea, you can absolutely change it, and you can change it quickly. That, I hope, should take the edge off a little bit when producing content for your website. Now, just as a quick recap, we need to remember that SEO, search engine optimization, or just search engines, Bing, DuckDuckGo, YouTube, which is its own search engine, and Google are all basically robots. They're computers. And so when we put together the content for our website, we need to remember there's not a person there to put two and two together or to try to figure out what we were trying to say in the first place. So when we put together our content, we need to remember this. We need to remember that it's basically just a robot. So they're looking for keywords and key phrases on our website, and they want to make sure that we are legitimate, that we are popular, that we are producing worthwhile content. Maybe another way to say it is that we're not trying to trick the search engine. This becomes really important when putting together content, because once we've figured out what our keywords are, it can be very tempting to type them all over the place. So let's take a look at this. The previous example, I was talking about my father, who once was a fireman and now is a quilter. And we were putting together a website for him to share his quilts online, for him to sell his quilts online. When putting that together, we came up with what some of the keywords and phrases are, and we came up with 3 or 4 potential ones that we could use. Now, when we put that all into one page, it's tempting to write them all in there. We want to cover our bases. We want to make sure that if somebody searches for this phrase or for that phrase, that he's going to come up. Well, what we run into is something that people in the industry will refer to as keyword stuffing, meaning we're overdoing it. We're no longer sounding like a human. It sounds like we're trying to trick the giant robot in the sky. So in this particular example, hi, my name is Neil, and I make patchwork quilts and sell them. I love to sit and watch kung fu movies and work on my handmade quilts, custom quilts, hand-sewn quilts. If you like fabric art, you came to the right place. You can buy handmade quilts and custom patchwork quilts right here. They're all custom order and best place to buy handmade quilts online. He's taking all of the phrases, very, very excited, and stuffing all of them into the page. Now, robots are getting smarter and smarter and smarter, and Google is no exception. Is watching to see whether or not somebody is trying to take advantage of people searching for content and serving up those results. If they're mediocre, or they don't sound like a human, or they're not compelling, Google doesn't want them. They don't want those types of results to come up. So once you've defined what your keywords are and how you want to use them and put them together, recommendation is to get them once or twice on your page. So in another example, hi there, I'm Neil. I make custom handmade quilts. I've been doing it for over 20 years. I love what I do. Some people paint, others dance. I quilt. He's able to put together the rest of it, put a nice call to action there at the end. Want to find out more, contact me, and that's it. So when putting together the copy for the site, he only uses the phrase once, and putting it down on paper, or once he gets it on paper, putting it onto the internet, he doesn't overdo it. He wants to sound like a human being, not somebody that's just constantly trying to sell people and repeating the same words over and over again. Now, that's the first part of just getting the basic content together. The second part is remembering that headlines, so the big text that you see on pages at the top of the page and throughout the page, are really, really important. If we go back to the search engines being a giant robot in the sky or being a computer, these are sections of code. These are sections of markup or text that is identified within the program that you're building your website. It actually shows up to the robot as this is more important than the rest of the text on my page because it's a headline. And so you could guess that the keywords within those headlines become very, very important. Then you don't want to do the same thing, overdoing it and putting everything in there. But for my father and for the website we're putting together, I make custom handmade quilts as a headline at the top of the page is plenty. And then he could even use sub-headlines if there were some other phrases that he might want to target. Again, not overdoing it. Be focused. This one page that he has, his home page, is just for custom handmade quilts. That's the keyword that we're after. If he's after other types of content and other types of things, he can spin up other pages. But more on that in just 1 second. Third piece, again, being able to show the search engines that you are legitimate, that you are a real business, that you're trying to do really great things, would be to actually put a picture on your website. So in this particular case, simply a picture of a quilt, and then making sure that we identify that picture as a quilt. Most web programs, most website builder programs, or WordPress, or even coding it on your own, will allow you to do that and say, basically, this is a picture of a quilt. So the giant robot in the sky can take a look and say, that is a picture of a quilt. Not only that, that is a person that cares enough about their website, cares enough about their business, that they've put in the effort to put a picture of a quilt on that page. So it's very helpful to have that on there, again, to show that you're legitimate. And even if you just forget about it, even if you think about it not being about the robot in the sky and about the computers and everything else, if you build a website that makes it easy for human beings, somebody like me, somebody like my dad, somebody like my friend Noah, to actually understand what the content is on the page, then chances are good that the search engines will like what you're doing. A couple of other things to think about when putting content on your page. Many people will bring this up when they learn about SEO, or they just, have a neighbor that happens to know a lot about SEO, and they'll bring up things like meta tags or meta content. It's basically content that's hidden at the back of your page that describes who you are. One of the most popular ones is something called a meta description. That description basically explains who you are and what you do in a very simple way, so that when somebody searches for you on the internet, those results that come back that show the name of your business, but also a short description below it, sometimes that could be the meta description. I say sometimes because oftentimes Google will look through your page and see where the keywords actually are and serve that up instead, as do the other search engines. I would say if you're starting off and you just have a basic website, don't worry too much about the meta stuff, the meta description and everything else that's on there. Just create great content. Create a menu that makes sense. You have a homepage, an about us, services, testimonials, contact us. Same thing that we talked about before when coming up with keywords. You are who we say that you are. Don't get clever with your menu. Don't get clever with the sections on your website. Make it easy for people to find out what you do. Use the same phrases, use the same menu structure that other people use on their websites, especially now that you know from previous activities that you could go and look at your competition's website based on what their keywords are when you did searches on Google. All right, so now moving outside of all this type of stuff, out of the basic stuff that you put on your website, common question is, how can I target more keywords? Sean, if you're not going to let me stuff them all onto that page, how can I target more keywords to bring in more traffic to my website? Very, very simple answer. You're going to create more pages. One way to do this is to spin up a blog where you would write articles or create articles weekly. Each one of those articles would target a separate keyword. Now that's an awful lot of work when you're first starting out. My recommendation is to start with the basic keywords, and then eventually you can move into what we call content marketing, which is your opportunity to target other keyword phrases and basically talk about other things related to your industry. What this does is it establishes you as an expert. As soon as you get established a little bit as an expert within a space, other people begin linking to you, other people start talking about you on social media, they start leaving reviews about you on different websites. This is gold. This is when people talk about content being king. This is where it comes from. You're creating more and more content, becoming an expert, people trust you, and the giant robots in the sky love this. All search engines love it because you are established and you are creating content worthwhile to their customers and their consumers. All right, that's an awful lot to go over on actually creating content for your website. Let's go over some of the basics. First, don't forget that you're dealing with a robot. You want to use terms and phrases that make sense based off of the keywords that you looked at. Also, don't forget that the robots are getting smarter. Don't try to trick search engines. Don't try to stuff every keyword into the page. One, it makes it really difficult for me to read, makes it difficult for your mom or your aunt or your best friend to read, but it also is an indicator, at least to the robots, to the search engines out there, that you're trying a little too hard, that you may not actually have legitimate content on there. You're trying to trick them instead of providing a legitimate service. So use keywords once or twice per page, use headlines and photos. This is you just getting started, but that also creates legitimacy for your website, not only for the person visiting you. They're able to see, hey, this is a fully furnished apartment. This is really, really great here, but it also does the same for search engines. They can see that you care about your website and your business and that you are in business. And then finally, at the end, once you get comfortable doing that, you can turn up the juice with more content or content marketing. Final tip on content marketing. Usually content marketing means that you are trying to recreate with content the same thing that you do with your service or your business. So if I sell pancakes and waffles, providing pancake and waffle recipes online is actually good for business. It doesn't mean people will make their own pancakes and waffles at home. It just means they know that you know what you're doing. And that is content marketing. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. What's next? Well, we're glad that you asked. You're going to go over a topic brainstorm worksheet, meet with your mentor, talk about the different content pieces that you can get onto your website, especially your main pages, your home, about me, services, contact me pages, and then you will complete the Kiva survey, please, 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 so we know if we're delivering good content for you and for your business. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Everybody, I'm Sean at Godaddy, and today we're going to be talking about becoming popular on the internet. And I know that may sound a little, only because a lot of us had to live through grade school, high school, elementary school, or whatever. But this is something that's really, really important when it comes to search engine optimization. This is part of a series of different things we're talking about when it comes to getting found online. So without further ado, let's recap some of the things that we've covered already. So first off, I keep repeating this, search engines are computers. They're giant robots in the sky. It's not actually true, and I get that now, but it's an easy way to think about it. Looking down on the world and looking for the best content and the best things that are available to the users that use their search engines. First part of that is something called on-page SEO, which we've already reviewed. It's basically that you are who we say that you are. It's using keywords that make sense. So when somebody searches for you, those phrases exist on your website so that the giant robot in the sky knows and can make sure that they serve up those types of results. The second part of SEO is actually surrounding activity. So the second part of SEO is other people on the internet, on other legitimate websites or websites that those search engines find valuable, are talking about you, that there are links back to your website. So this giant robot in the sky basically can look down and see that there are other people talking and pointing back to you. And so that's one of the easiest indicators that you are interesting, that you are popular. Now, in order to do this, you'll have to create content. And this content may not live solely on your website, but it needs to exist on the internet so that your name and your business is out there. In order to do that, you do have to become an expert in your field. The only way that you can prove that you're an expert in the field is to have a lot of content online. I hesitate when I say a lot of content. This is something that you do a piece at a time. It's not something that you do overnight. So if you want to run a marathon, perhaps, you start with the couch to 5K. There's only a certain number of steps you can take while you train, while you get better, and then you're able to create more and more content. So what I don't want to do is overwhelm you and make you think, oh great, how am I going to create all of this content that I need in order to become an expert. You can do it a piece at a time. So once people can notice you, notice what you're doing, then they kind of start pointing at you. Sometimes I like to think about it as those signs that are in the middle of a trail in the middle of a mountains that points multiple directions. This far to New York City, this far to Los Angeles, this far to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. It's that point in that area where all the roads are leading to it. That's what you're trying to become. So not unlike a Ferris wheel where everything kind of comes to the center, you're looking to get a network of people talking about you, a network of people referring to your website and linking over to your business or mentioning your business online. Now, where do those come from? What types of places do the search engines think are legitimate? A side note on this, just to make sure you understand what I mean by legitimate websites, is early on in search engine optimization history, many people recognize that, hey, if I could just get a lot of links to my website, I could become popular and the search engine would give me the best results. Early on, they were capable of doing that. But what they did was they created a lot of fake websites that would point back to their website, and that didn't last long. So now the search engines that are out there, they're looking for other websites that they deem already successful or already good or already valuable, not just websites that we spin up in different countries around the world to try to make ourselves feel popular. It doesn't work. And so you need to have legitimate websites linking back to you. Good news, many of these websites you already use, and many of these websites are already places that you're using to promote who you are and what your business is. Social media is part of that. So Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, all legitimate websites. So the more traffic that's coming from those places to your website, that will help your ranking on Google, on DuckDuckGo, on Bing, on multiple search engines. Other places would be blogs, well-established blogs, places like news outlets, or even referral sites, review sites, where people are talking about your business on Yelp or on Google Places or other sites online where people review services. These are all places where people can link back to you, and you get the opportunity then at that point to illustrate that you are popular, you are the center of attention. Now, how does somebody do that? That's not easy, of course. We could do an entire course on just social media and managing your reviews online. But one of the important things you need to remember is that social media is not a one-way road. You want to join conversations. The people that do it the best will produce content or publish content or toss out that coupon for the really great coffee that you've got going on in your small coffee shop in Kansas. They'll publish that stuff and then engage with people that say, right on, I think that's really great. They'll engage with people that have questions on social media. So you want to join conversations. You start a conversation, you continue the conversation. The other way is to network and find other people on social media that are similar to you and care about the same things that you care about. Again, joining conversations. It has to be a two-way street, and it takes time and it takes effort. Now, please don't be overwhelmed by the amount of social media networks and where I have to be and where I don't have to be. There's YouTube, there's Reddit, there's Instagram, there's kind of a Google Plus that exists these days, Pinterest, Facebook. We've got WordPress sites, it's Tumblr. There's so many different places you could be. Don't get overwhelmed by it. Again, start simple and then grow bigger. My recommendation is that you start with 3 social media networks. You could choose them if you really want to. I think Facebook is a great place to be. Twitter is a great place to be. LinkedIn and Instagram. If you can get people talking about your business in those spaces, linking back to your website, then that will help your ranking in social media. That will give you the opportunity, again, to prove that you are worthwhile. And one of the things that we refer to in social media as the God particle or the holy grail of social media, you now have the opportunity to get other people to share content on your behalf on social media. So if they see that you're doing something remarkable, they will share it with their friends. Now, what types of things could you share that are remarkable that would help your search engine ranking? There's a lot of things. You could offer advice. There's articles, blog posts, opinion, lists, hacks, templates. You could write a book. Publish the book, offer it for free. People will share that. Putting together video content. There are coupons. There's links to other places if you become a subject matter expert. Again, if I'm a subject matter expert on pancakes and waffles, then I could put together a website that links to other really, really great places for pancakes and waffles. I become everybody's first stop, and those other places talk about me. You could create music, recommendation, apps. You could have a membership that would give people access to different types of deals. There are many different things that you could put together in order to stand out online. Haikus and pancakes are another option. Now, one of the reasons why you want to stand out online, this fits into basically at the top of a marketing funnel. I'm not going to get into too crazy into funnels, but the basic idea is you want to capture people's attention. If you're only talking about the same thing that everybody else is talking about in your industry, you will not capture any attention. You basically will look the same as everybody else. So you want to stand out. You want to offer something unique. And that becomes really important to get people to talk about you. It's not easy, but it's definitely worthwhile. There's a dentist in the city that I live in that will put big headphones on my ears and pump classic Pink Floyd music into my noggin while I'm getting my teeth worked on. I hear rumors that I can request that they turn up the nitrous oxide just a little bit. That's unique. That's different than other dentists in the valley, and that gets people to turn their heads. That gets people to talk about them on social media. They talk about them on social media. They talk about them on websites. Potential for the press to pick it up. You have many different people talking about you and pointing to your website. So the next time that I search for dentist in my town, that is the result that will come back. So really, really important to understand how that works, to make sure that you get being part of this larger network, joining conversations. That is going to get you the credibility and show the giant robot in the sky that you are popular. A couple of other places not to forget are all of the review sites where you could have your business listed, and that will also have a link back to your website and also show the robot that you are legitimate and that you are popular. There's Google Places, Being Local, TripAdvisor, Yelp, OpenTable, LinkedIn, the Better Business Bureau, many different spots out there where people are already talking about you. All you have to do is claim that space and make sure that you have your website on there, and that will also help with your search engine results when people are looking to find you. So again, much like a Ferris wheel, much like that place in the middle of the woods that points me to Jackson Hole and New York City, you want to be the center of attention. You're trying to get people to talk about you. You're trying to get people to share your business, your idea, your nonprofit, whatever it is that you're putting online. All right, to review on becoming popular, or what other people refer to as off-page SEO, you want to show the robot that people like you. The easiest way to show the robot that people like you is to become an expert in your space, create content that is worthwhile. You're trying to get people's heads to turn, and join other conversations. Engage with other people. As you engage with other people, you build those relationships. They lead you to other people outside of that space, and that allows you to build that network and create more of that spider web of people coming back to you, which then helps your ranking on the search engines. And then offer the world something unique. This is one of the easiest ways to garner attention. This is one of the easiest ways to get people to talk about you. This takes some doing and some testing. You're going to try some things that work and some things that don't work. Don't give up. You'll find something that works that people will then share, and that people will then begin to discuss what it is that you're doing. That will help your SEO. And then don't forget to watch review sites. There are multiple ones that continue to spin up, and there's some that you may not want to follow or some that you may want to follow, but there are a few that you definitely want to take advantage of. It's not hard to claim your listing on those websites. You can go on there, claim your listing, make sure that your website address is correctly. You could even change the URL or the website address that they're using to point to something else that's part of your business, if those other keywords are the ones that you want to focus on. All right, so that is about becoming popular. It's not that bad. I'm not having too many flashbacks of high school, which makes me very, very happy. We're so glad that you watched. What's next for you? We're glad that you asked. you're going to do a community analysis. So this is a worksheet and understanding exactly what the community looks like, or other people in your space who care about the same things that you care about, where you can potentially have conversations. So you have other people linking back to your website. You'll do a social media worksheet to find out which networks are the ones for you, what's the type of content you could be publishing, and even perhaps what a calendar could look like, so that you can stay on top of social media, continue to engage, and continue to publish. You're going to meet with your mentor, and you are going to review or complete the Kiva survey, review what we're talking about today, and whether or not this is helpful to you in understanding search engine optimization and the Googles and Bings and DuckDuckGos of the world. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next. Hey everybody, I'm Sean from Godaddy, and today we're going to be talking about measuring your search engine optimization success. Boy, I don't like that phrase and don't like that word. We're talking about SEO, or basically, how do I get found on the internet? Today we're going to be going over exactly how I can find out whether or not things are working for me. And there's a lot of different questions that you can answer with the tools that are out there and available. So one of the things that conceptually we just have to make sure that we drive home is that if you do not look to see whether or not your search engine optimization tactics, your keywords, your social media strategy, connecting with others is working, then you don't know if you can get better or if things are always getting worse. The reason why we measure isn't to get discouraged. The reason why we measure is so that we can see if there's something we need to change in order to get better. One of the ways I like to think about website measurement or website performance measurement, and SEO is a part of that, is I like to think about it in real life terms. So imagine if I were to walk into a restaurant, into a coffee shop, and take a look at the menu. As soon as I look up at the menu, wouldn't it be great if the coffee shop owner would know every item that I looked at on the menu? Wouldn't it be great if the coffee shop owner knew where I came from before I came to the coffee shop? Maybe this is something that everybody does after they go to the zoo. They all swing into the coffee shop. That gives the coffee shop owner an idea of who his customers are and where they're coming from and what's happening. Or wouldn't it be fantastic if the coffee shop owner could actually track the number of men and the number of women and the number of millennials and the number of Gen X and baby boomers that came to the coffee shop? They can certainly see who they are, but it would be pretty amazing if at the end of the day they could see all of the different types of people that came in and then change their targeting, their marketing, or the words that they use in order to appeal to a particular demographic that keeps coming in to the store. This is something that you can do with a website. It makes it very easy for you to understand how long people are sticking around, what they're looking at, and who they actually are. Now, the most popular tool out there for measuring the success of your website is Google Analytics. And it makes sense that that's the most popular tool. It's still the most popular search engine on the planet. And they want you to be successful and create great content, because the more great content and the more successful you are, the more successful they are. Again, as we've talked about previously, Google is a business. The more results that they serve up that make sense to people, that benefit people, the more people will keep coming back to Google in order to find things on the internet. Google Analytics is a very robust program. It's not hard to set up on your website. It's basically a snippet of code that you put into the top of your website that doesn't show up on your website itself. So that every time somebody hits that page, it registers with Google Analytics. Now, what are the questions that I can answer with Google Analytics? Well, one of the things I can answer is I can see how many people came to my site. Instead of having a counter down at the bottom, I can see how often people came to my website. I can see if they're new visitors. I can see if they're returning visitors. And more importantly, when talking about search engine optimization and SEO, I can find out what people searched for in order to find me on the internet. That's really, really powerful, because that lets me know whether or not my keywords or the key phrases that I was targeting, whether or not they're working. What site did they come from? Where in the world are they? Where did they come from when they visited my website? I can see all of this with Google Analytics, in addition to how long did they stay, what did they look at, and did they use a computer or phone to visit my website? Again, something that can be very beneficial when it comes time for me to put together marketing. Do I want to focus on social media and mobile, or do I want to focus on more video content on my desktop? Now, this gives me a really good idea about what I could do next in order to be more successful on Google. Now, I reviewed this one other time previously. If you're not interested in hooking up Google Analytics, or you start taking a look at it and you start to get a little nervous and freak out by how complex you think it is, there is something else that you can do in order to measure your results, in order to find out whether or not your search engine optimization is working, whether or not you're becoming popular, or whether or not the keywords that you put on your website are working for you as a business. Easiest way is simply to go to a search engine and type in your keywords, or type in something about your business to see whether or not it comes back. Now, chances are good that if you type in the name of your business and your website's been live for a little while, then those results will come back, especially if you type in the name and your location. Now, if you want people to find you by typing in particular keywords, type them in. Continue to troll through the website, continue to click through Google until you can see your result. If your result never comes up, something's not working, then you need to adjust. There's two different ways to adjust. One of them might be the keywords. The second one might be just becoming a little bit more popular online, which requires a little bit more hustle and a little bit more work, but is totally worth it. Now, one of the things that you can uncover while doing this and while doing this research that I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, or at least get you to think about it in a different way, is that as you're doing this research, as you're looking about the different websites that are out there, this gives you an opportunity to take advantage of what's working for them. There's a little bit of competitive analysis, and this gets you a better idea of what they're doing to make their website work. So, if you go to search for those keywords and you don't show up on the front page, you don't show up on the second page, you don't show up on the third page, take a look at the sites that do. That gives you a better idea of how they've structured their website, the type of content they put on there. Do they have a blog? Are they doing video? And what is the structure of their website? Do they present the different cost options for their product or service up front, or do they bury them back inside the website? This gives you a really, really good idea of what other people are doing in the marketplace. You don't lift their content, you don't steal their images from their website. This just gives you an idea about what they're doing. This is no different than McDonald's trying to figure out exactly why Burger King is killing it with those bizarre chicken fries. That gives them something to model what their next product might be and what they might try to put together, I don't know, to compete with chicken fries. So basically what we've got is this space for you to analyze whether or not your website is successful. A very simple way to do it is on Google Analytics, or just by doing a search for the keywords that are important to you, or by searching for your business and seeing where you rank. Now, there is a series of other metrics that you can look at as well in social media. So most platforms in social media will give you the opportunity, if you have a page on Facebook, if you're on Twitter, you're on LinkedIn, it'll give you the opportunity to see how often people are engaging with your content, liking your content, and sharing your content. These are also metrics that show you whether or not you're making an impact in social media and people are actually looking at your business and clicking through to your business. So another metric, another space to look at things, completely free in these situations, and just gives you an idea on what's working and what's not working. Now, our goal in putting all of this together and covering SEO, and covering search engine optimization, and the measurement that you can take away from it, the different types of things that you can see from it, is really just to give you as much information as possible so that you can compete on the same level as any big brand that's out there. One of the things that excites me the most about small businesses, about people with ideas, about writers and poets and musicians, anybody that's trying to get their ideas out into the world, is that they can be successful without being part of a large multinational corporation. I love pulling into a small town in Montana and seeing the local hardware store thriving. So these are the same tools, the same metrics, the same things that a large company would look at that gives you an opportunity to find out whether or not you're doing the right things in order to rank on social media. Quick recap on measurements. You want to measure your results to get better. Please don't get discouraged when taking a look at your results or the fact that you're showing up on other pages. That's simply an opportunity for you to see what you don't know. That's an opportunity for you to review what the competition is doing or what other people are putting on their website in order to rank on search engines. And then you want to analyze the content that they're putting on their site. And then look at results beyond just Google Analytics or beyond just search engine ranking. You want to see whether or not you show up in social media. You want to see how you show up in social media, whether people are engaging with your content, liking your content, sharing your content, or just commenting on your content. You can see all of those numbers and gradually get better over time on social media. And you want to see whether or not people are finding you in other ways beyond search engines simply by pulling out their phone and doing a search for really delicious pizza in Buckeye, Arizona. All right, that's all that we have for you today on talking about measurements on search engine and with SEO or getting found online. What's next for you? We are glad you asked. So you're going to set up a Google Analytics account for your website. It's completely free. It's not difficult to do. And your mentor will help you put it together. And then you're also going to set up a GoDaddy Get Found account. We talked about this previously when we talked about keywords. This will give you an opportunity to explore more fully what the keywords are most likely that people are typing in order to find your business. That will get you set up on the right path. And then you're going to meet with your mentor and please, please, please complete the Kiva survey. We want to know if we are delivering good content for you and whether or not this is helpful and making you or encouraging you to understand how the internet works and how search engine optimization or getting found online works. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.